Hello, theory students. Here's one video on other seventh chords where I'll explain a little about them and then part right at the end. So if you look on page 354, we'll learn a little about the doubling. So and all of this information is just like we learned with 5-7 and its inversions back in chapter 9, or was it 8? You know. Anyway, so we're going to resolve the seventh of the chord down by step, no matter which seventh chord we're dealing with. We're going to prepare the seventh if we're able to, that is with a common tone, a step, or maybe a leap up into the seventh. And if it's in root position, we can write it complete, or we can write it incomplete, where we would double the root and omit the fifth. And if we do see them in inversion, we want to write them complete. So the first one the book talks about are the leading tone seventh chords. So that's 7 half diminished 7 in major, sounds like this. In C major, this is a B half diminished seventh chord. And if we're in minor, it's a B fully diminished seventh chord, C minor, B fully diminished 7. And it's important for you to realize and to note, as the book will explain, that composers use the fully diminished seventh chord in major keys. So that means if we're in C major, we'll see an A flat in a B fully diminished seventh chord. So there'll be an accidental there. Be aware of that. And they all have dominant functions just like the triad did. And there's a list on the bottom there of the normal resolutions for all of the in chord positions of fully diminished 7. So if we solfege these out, and I'll fix some of this later, you see they're not necessarily lining up. I'm just not going to fix that right now, but you'll see them better when you look them up on the website link that you've already seen, I imagine, by now. So the important thing to note with the solfege here, we've got Ti, Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Mi, and La, Sol. The idea here is that we're resolving both tritones that exist in the fully diminished seventh chord. We have Ti and Fa will resolve here, Ti up to Do, Fa down to Mi, and the other tritone from Re up to La, because it's written as a fifth here, a diminished fifth, they will also resolve in. So by resolving both tritones, you'll double the third of the chord. In this case, Mi in C minor that I'm playing it in. But it's also possible to double Do by having Re, instead of going up to Mi, go down to Do. And then if you look at the two other inversion examples, all of the lines are the same. That is, La goes to Sol in each option, Re goes to Mi in each option, Ti goes to Do, and Fa goes down to Mi. It just matters, all that changes is what's in the bass. So that's what you want to keep in mind as we do this with inversions. So there are a couple of good examples of 7, fully diminished 7 being used in C minor, both a Mozart sonata and a Beethoven sonata, which I'll give you links to nice YouTube videos of those when we get to when you're looking at the web page. So that's those are on page 360 and 361. Now the next thing that's talked about are the other two seventh chords, are 2-7 and 4-7, which are both predominant function just like the triads are. So 2-7 in major is a minor seventh chord, sounds like this. It's D7, D minor 7 in C major. And in C minor it would be D half diminished 7. Please remember that 2 is half diminished as a seventh chord in minor. It's very important. Now these chords are most common in first inversion, 2-6-5, although they do happen in root position. So that's having Fa in the bass instead of Re. And there's a nice example on page 363 from Mendelssohn's Violin Concerto that I'll give you a link to a YouTube video for. And then for 4-7, this one's less common but more common than the ones we're not talking about. So remember, 4-7 is major and minor in minor. So here's solfeged, and it's not lined up very well at all. Again, I'll fix that later. So here we go. So if it's 2/7 to 5/7 in root position, you notice that it's going to be a complete seventh chord and an incomplete seventh chord. So that's important to remember as we move forward, that when you see seventh chords moving by fifth, and both in root position, that you have to alternate complete and incomplete, just like we did with 5/7 going to 1 before. So as you can see, we got re, fa, la, do, and that's going to a sol. And then notice we've got another sol, a fa, and a T. So with the specific voice leading, that's re to sol, fa stays on fa for the seventh, la goes down to sol, and do goes down to T. So we could flip them and have 2/7 being complete, going to a complete 5/7 if you like as well. So that's the important thing to remember there. And then if you notice with the 2/6/5, this is the re, fa, re, la, do going to sol, re, sol, T. That we have re as a common tone now, so we can move everything else by step. And then notice that if we want 5/7, we have to do 5 first, and that's because it would create some funny parallels if we went directly to 5/7. So now here's all the part writing chunk afterward. Right, so I'm going to go to the notation software now, and I'll part write a few of them for you. So here we are. So I'm in C minor. I'm going to write 1, 7 fully diminished 7 to 1. I have my C minor triad there. So now to moving to 7. So I need T in the bass, which is B natural. So I write in B and put a natural sign in front of it. And now I need D, F, and A flat. So it's generally best to move from C down to D, C up to D, and C down to B in one of the voices. So we'll do that in the soprano there. And then for the other two, I can move up by step to the next closest note. E flat up to F, and G up to A flat. Okay, so now we're going to do the resolution here. So T goes to do, and we want the seventh of the chord A flat, go down, lay, go down to sol. And then the thing that, if we resolve the tritones, which in this case are B up to F, so F should go down to E flat. And if we resolve the other tritone, which is A flat up to D, since that's written as a fourth, it'll go out, so down to G and up to E flat. Notice I have my doubled E flat there. Here's what this sounds like. So there you go. Now, if you wanted to do the version where you doubled the root, the change would be to have re go down to do there. All right, so I'm going to leave it as this. Right, so now moving forward to the 1, 7 diminished 6, 5 to 1, 6 in C major this time. So notice I have a fully diminished seventh chord, which means I'm going to need that accidental lay when I get to it. So 7 diminished 6, 5, B, D, F, A flat. So it means that we're in first inversion, meaning I need D in the bass, and then 1, 6 is E natural. So again, so notice here I went from C down to B, and I went from C up to D, and this one does C up to D, so it means that my other C over here is going to go down to B. And then I can have my inside voices do the same thing they did before, E up to F, excuse me, and G up to A. And look at that. I wrote some beautiful parallel fifths. Actually, they're not parallel fifths anymore. Haha. Perfect fifth going to a diminished fifth is unequal fifth, which we're allowed to write. So that lay is very important. So A flat. So again, the seventh of the chord, A flat, needs to resolve down to G. Our T should go to do. And our other voice here, to resolve this tritone F to B, the F goes down to E. So notice again I've doubled the E, and all the inversion examples in the book of 7 diminished 7 do have doubled E's in all of the inverted chords as well. Oh, well, in the first inversion ones. Okay, so there you go. So there's part writing a fully diminished 7 chord in major. Sounds pretty cool. And now, so here are 2 examples of writing 2-6-5. So let me put in my bass. I'm staying in C major, so I need Do, C. I need 2-6-5 is D, F, A, C. First inversion means F is in the bass. Then 5 is G and C. Now, so I need to be able to write the rest of this. So here, let me do a voicing. I'll stick with that voicing that I've already been using here just for consistency. I'll change it in the next one so that we get a different feel there. All right, so 2-6-5. I need D, F, A, and C. I already have my F. So I want to take care of that C first. Is there a C in the previous chord? There is. It's right here. So I can prepare my 7th by putting it right here, and I'm going to immediately resolve it into the next chord. So I have it already. Woohoo. Right, so now I need D and A. Right, so it means that I can put my D here, and I can put my A there. That's the closest option. So now we can move to the next chord, going to 5. So I've already resolved my 7th because I took care of it already. So we have a D common tone, so I'll put that in. And then, so I have, so now I just need to double the root, which the tenor can move down by step into. And then going 5 to 1, following normal patterns. There you go. 1, 2, 6, 5, 5, 1. Yeah, so what's especially nice is this. That's the 2, 6, 5. Sounds really nice. All right, now the final part writing example. So here I'm going to do the same bass. And now I have a 1, 6, 4, 5. So there's a cadential 6, 4 going to 5. So I have 2 G's in the bass. And now I need to I'm going to come up with a different voicing so we have something else to do. So we'll double the C in the tenor, and let me put the G in the alto, and I'll put the E way up here. All right, now, so again, 2, 6, 5, we want to prepare that 7th again, so I'll do it in the tenor. And then we'll finish our writing here. So here we want D, and again I want my A. So I have my complete 2, 6, 5. Now you're probably wondering why I didn't move the C all the way to B right away, and that's because, look, it's a 1, 6, 4 chord. There isn't a B in the 1, 6, 4 chord, there's a C. So I'm going to keep my common tone C. So notice that the C in both of these chords is a dissonance, right? We think of a cadential 6/4 chord as a dissonant chord that resolves to 5. So it means that this 7th isn't being resolved right away. It's still being held over here, and this is still a dissonance. And then it resolves down by step as usual. So this 7th here is waiting to resolve, but it still does resolve because we're listening to voices, right? All right. So then we can keep going. So we want to double our G. Do that in the alto voice, if I can get it to work. And this means that our soprano will step back up to E and then back down to D. And common tone G, following our standard practice for cadential 6/4 to 5. And here we go. And that would be like a half cadence, or there would be a 1 in the next measure. All right, so there you go. There's part writing 7 and 2 in various ways. Have a good day.